Chapter 14 Natural Disasters. Get set. Recognize the following natural disasters and name them. A natural disaster is a major event caused by natural processes of the earth. A natural disaster causes loss of life or property damage and leaves some economic damage after it has been completed. Some of the natural disasters occur periodically, while some occur all of a sudden. Disasters can take many different forms, and the duration can range from an hourly disruption to days or weeks of ongoing destruction. Examples of natural disasters include floods, hurricanes, tornadoes, volcanic eruptions, earthquakes, tsunamis, and other geologic processes. Floods. A flood is an overflow of water that submerges land. It is a temporary covering of the land with water, which is usually not covered by water. Floods can occur suddenly, as the case in Uttarakhand on February 7, 2021, or they can periodically, as the Bihar floods in monsoon season. Flooding may result from the volume of water within a body of water, such as a river or lake, which overflows, causing some of the water to escape its usual boundaries, while the size of a lake or other body of water will vary with seasonal changes in precipitation and snow melt. It is not a significant flood unless the water covers land used by man, like a village, city, or other inhabited area, roads, expanses of farmland, etc. Flood causes damage to property and also disrupts normal life of people. It can seriously disrupt public and private transport by cutting off roads and railway lines, as well as the communication lines by damaging telephone lines, etc. Moreover, the water becomes stagnant, causing breeding of mosquitoes, which brings the hazards of malaria and other waterborne diseases. Chirpy says, beginning in July 2018, severe floods affected the South Indian state of Kerala due to unusually high rainfall during the monsoon season. It was the worst flooding in Kerala in nearly a century. Safety measures. When flood strikes, move to higher areas like the roofs of houses or top of hills. Keep a first aid kit ready. Keep adequate stock of fresh water and dry food items. Keep waterproof bags for packing food items, clothes, and important documents. Cyclonic storms. Cyclone, tropical cyclone, hurricane, and typhoon are different names for the same phenomenon, which is a cyclonic storm system that forms over the oceans. The determining factor on which term is used is based on where they originate. In the Atlantic and Northeast Pacific, the term hurricane is used. In the Northwest Pacific, it is referred as a typhoon, and cyclones occur in the South Pacific and Indian Ocean. Cyclones are strong winds accompanied by heavy rainfall. They are common in coastal areas. They cause landslides and floods. Cyclones uproot trees, plants, and inflict heavy damage to crops. They cause a heavy loss to human life and livestock. They also inflict heavy damage to ships, boats, and port infrastructure. Safety measures. Do not move out unless and until required. Keep emergency phone numbers of police, ambulance, and fire brigade handy. Move people and valuable items to a safe place. Store hygienic drinking water. Avoid contact with wet electric lines and switches. Think a while. Which ocean is responsible for the formation of the strongest and deadliest tropical cyclone in the world? Chirpy says, a cyclone in Bangladesh in 1970 killed 3 lakh to 5 lakh people, and another in the same place in 1991 killed more than 1,40,000 people. Earthquake. An earthquake is the result of a sudden release of energy in the Earth's crust that creates seismic waves. At the Earth's surface, earthquakes manifest themselves by vibration, shaking, and sometimes displacement of the ground. Earthquakes are caused by slippage within geological faults. The underground point of origin of the earthquake is called the seismic focus. The point directly above the focus on the surface is called the epicenter. Earthquakes by themselves rarely kill people or wildlife. It is usually the secondary events that they trigger, such as building collapse, fires, tsunamis, seismic sea waves, and volcanoes. Think a while. Can you think of some human activities which could be a reason to some natural disaster? Safety measures. If you are in a building, lie down and get under a table, bed, desk, etc., and hold any fixed thing, such as window, and wait for the earthquake to cease. If you are in the open, just keep yourself away from buildings, towers, electric poles, and trees, and lie on the ground, hold the ground with palms. If you are driving a vehicle, park the vehicle away from poles and trees and stay inside it. Drought. Drought is the unusual dryness of soil caused by levels of rainfall significantly below average over a prolonged period. The prolonged absence of rain or the lack of natural sources of water can bring about a drought. Hot, dry winds, shortage of water, high temperatures, and consequent evaporation of moisture around the ground can also contribute to conditions of drought. Droughts result in crop failure and shortage of water. The farming sector in India is the most vulnerable to the climatic condition. Most of the agriculture in India is dependent on rainfall and groundwater. Drought-like situation has tremendously affected the farming sector and animal husbandry in India. The scorching sun sucks the groundwater and becomes fatal to the cattle. Chirpy says, drought is typically classified into 4 types. Low rain or precipitation causes meteorological drought, while lack of soil moisture causes agricultural drought. Hydrological drought stems from low water levels in lakes and other water sources. Lastly, drinking and tap water shortages lead to socio-economic drought. Safety measures. To prevent drought, we should grow more and more trees and save every drop of water. Building reservoirs to store water and rainwater harvesting are important ways which should be adopted to tackle drought. Volcanic eruption. A volcano is a hole in the surface of the earth. The interior of the earth has magma. In some places, magma finds a vent through the crust of the earth and comes out forcefully. This is called a volcanic eruption. The magma that comes out from a volcano is called lava. The lava may accompany with particles of rocks, steam, and gases. Flowing lava is very hot and destroys everything in its path. Safety measures. Volcanic eruptions are predictable. Wherever there is a prediction of a volcanic eruption, evacuate the place immediately and take shelter in a safe place. Obey evacuation instructions given by the authorities. Help in times of disaster. Several government and non-government organizations rescue the affected people when disaster strikes. Apart from them, we can also put forward our help for disaster relief. Government organizations. Several government agencies come forward to rescue the grief-stricken people. Some of the important government agencies are defense forces, police, hospitals, fire stations, etc. Defense forces. You know that army fights the enemy, but in case of a disaster, it also helps in the rescue work. The 3 arms of the defense force, Army, Navy, and Air Force use their resources to help the people. Police. The police also help in the rescue work. Moreover, they help in the maintenance of law and order so that some bad people cannot take advantage of the suffering people. Hospitals. A disaster results in the large-scale injuries and deaths. The doctors, nurses, and other staff of hospitals help the people. A disaster can also result in the outbreak of diseases. Doctors also help in it. Firefighters. A disaster can result into fires. The firefighters from the nearby fire station come in their vehicles to extinguish fire and save life and property from destruction. Non-government organizations. Our national and international non-government organizations, NGOs, and the United Nations Disaster Management Team, UNDMT, also provide aid and support to the affected people. Several non-government organizations collect donation and other essential commodities and distribute them to the people affected by disasters. Some of the NGOs that help affected people during the time of disaster are listed below. The Indian Red Cross Society, First Hand Foundation, Child Relief and You, CRY, Volunteers for Indian Development, VIDE. What can you do? Though you are a small child, but you can also help immensely in the relief work. You can inform the rescue workers wherever help may be needed. Always keep the contact numbers of police stations, fire stations, ambulance, etc., so that you can call them immediately for helping the victims. You can also donate your old clothes to the organizations who are working for disaster victims. Quick review. A natural disaster is a major event caused by natural processes of the earth. A flood is an overflow of water that submerges land. Cyclones are strong winds accompanied by heavy rainfall. Earthquakes are caused by slippage within geological faults. Droughts result in crop failure and shortage of water. The magma that comes out from a volcano is called lava. Non-government organizations, NGOs also support to the affected people. United Nations Disaster Management Team, UNDMT, also provide support to the affected people.